Hello. It has been a big week. It's been a minute since I put a video up. I want to put one up, and I really don't dip much in the Bible, but I try to keep going chapter by chapter and verse by verse. But as I've already said, there will be special sessions or studies that are necessary in between that for such a time as this. Christians, you guys need to know that you have a defined adversary, a defined enemy, and they are they are tares. There are ways that men can gain power through ancient knowledge that really is of no use for anyone in this time after Jesus Christ came. This wisdom, this forbidden information, is old. It initially was given out much by fallen angels, by the Watchers, who descended upon Mount Hermon and made a pact that they were going to go against God. I'm just going to keep this like it is. Yeah, there was females involved, and that was what triggered these angels to take them to them and have sex with these human mortal females. But ultimately, what they was doing was going against God. This is after the fall. So let's fast forward, and all the wisdom that they had at that point was trumped by the wisdom that was given to King David's son, Solomon. He is noted still to this day for dealing in some things that would be considered sorcery or witchcraft or things of that nature today, because we're covered in the blood. At his point in time, Christ had not come yet. So God was giving him what he needed to edify and bring along prophecy, and to keep the good side from being utterly destroyed by and consumed by the darkness, because that is what it is continuously trying to accomplish, is to get in your heart, find a way in, and attach itself to you. There are many instances of this. I've written some of them down, and first of all, I'm not going to read all of the scriptures, but there are 7 here that I'm going to cover, and I'm 4 minutes in here, so I'm going to keep it moving as fast as I can speak and still be understandable to you. Okay, let's go with I can start with any of them, but I'm going to start with the Star of Bethlehem, the North Star that the wise men from the east. Okay, are you putting this together? Most of that stuff comes from Nod, from the east, from the Orient, in that vicinity, and works its way this way, and it will wind up coming aboard us on the west coast. Anyhow, this story of Bethlehem, the Magi from the east, magicians, these guys were they were not evil men, that they saw the coming of this Messiah. Well, this is where I'm going with this. So did the enemy. The enemy saw him too, and immediately Herod and Caesar too. Don't think for 1 second that Caesar just because he never recognized Jesus Christ, did not know of him, hear of him, and have his people there watching. The evil side is watching too. That is how they saw the star, and that is why they killed all of the male children 2 years old and younger, was trying to exterminate the coming of this king, because everyone was aware that he was coming, and once he came, he's going to put this thing in his place. But I hear Christians say, and I've heard them say many years, I gave Satan a black eye. I really give the devil what for? Well, Michael in let's see here, I can document this for you. Maybe I can. I didn't write that one down. Okay, well, you can document this in Jude. Michael, the archangel, when he was disputing with Lucifer over Moses' body, did not go against Satan in his own name. He went against him. He was sent there by God with the seal of God, the standard of God in his hand, and he said, look, I'm here for this body in the name of Yahweh. So I'm going to take it in his name. So they did not fight. Lucifer chose not to fight Michael for that body, because Lucifer knew that Michael wasn't lying, that God wanted that for himself. It was special to him. So it is okay for you to understand that this time of year is evil kind of rallies at this time of year. And we have those of us who are protected and covered in Christ's blood, who we really cannot be touched. And you have a sect of angels who are here right now, just like us. You're an angel. Did you know that? You're not in your full essence right now, but you will be. And in your heart, you are. That's that celestial light. So let's go to Samuel. And Saul, the king, Saul, yeah, I'll go with this. In 1 Samuel 28, verse 7, then said Saul to his servants, find me a woman that has a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said unto him, behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment, so he dressed like just a regular guy with his hood up. And he came by this woman. This woman was called the Witch of Endor. Okay? These types are nothing new. I'm sorry, my microphone was on that. That was probably loud. My bad. I'm going to go to Ephesians here, and I won't touch my mic. It's a little bit my way. Ephesians 6, and we'll do verse 12. And it says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. That would be ideas, your stance, which side, whether you're of light or whether you're of darkness, and the principles in your mind. What do you stand for? Where won't you go? We stand against principalities, ideas, against powers. Like this woman here, the witch of Endor. She had some power. The king was going to this woman to find out what his fate was going to be. David had already had all the rest of the witches killed because they had committed to evil. They had committed their souls to evil. You can do that in this world, and there are many who have. Don't let anyone fool you on that. Sure, salvation is offered to everyone, and it is obvious that it is more likely probably for some of us to pick it up than for others. Many people thought that I never would, and there was a time when I wasn't sure. I'm sure now that we wrestle against these things. So we wrestle against powers and against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Verse 13, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God. Well, I'm going to give you some armor. And the first thing that Christians are going to need to do is to wake up and understand that there are circles of souls, of people that have committed to Lucifer, that are praying hard against you, that are praying hard in their circles, just like we get together and we pray and we fast and we do things of this nature to get power from our side. There is another side of this thing that they are selling their souls for this time right here. And let me tell you, friend, if you're not affiliated with Christ, they will hold sway over you. They will. There will be a price they pay for it, sure. But they are, they're willing to pay that price. Let me move forward here. You can see, we will eventually cover some of these types in the parable of the sower, and they will come straight from the line of Cain. Cain is not in Adam's family tree. That does not mean that does not mean anyone is damned to hell because of where they were born or who they are from at all. That's ridiculous. The light of Christ will shine through. They see it. It is putting your self to the side and being able to humble yourself and not have everything that you want or you think you want in this life by going through the wrong channels to acquire that. Let's go in here into, is there anything else in the Old Testament that I want to cover real quick? We'll take this to the New. Let's go to Acts. You don't have to come with me, but if you want to write this down and check me out, I highly advise you do that. You don't know who is sitting behind that pulpit. I've seen some of the best shows that I've ever seen in my life for Satan carried out behind a pulpit. Whether they knew it or not, they was doing more work for the darkness than they was the light. Acts 8, and it'll be 9 through 25. Let me see if I can find where I'm at in this little Bible. I've got 3 Bibles in front of me right now, and I'm going to give you some scripture from each one of them because that is the armor. You must have it on right now. September 17th will be a big month this year. That's what I'm going to say about that. Acts 8, 9 through 25. Okay. But there was a certain man called Simon, which before time in the same city used sorcery and bewitched the people of Samaria, giving out that himself was some great one, verse 10, to whom they all gave heed, from the least to the greatest in that city, saying, this man is the great power of God. They're confused. They believe that this Simon is of God. Well, he's a con man. He's a liar, and he is of darkness. He's not. The dark side is very tricksy, and it's time that Christians wake up and understand that you have an enemy. I'm not declaring anyone your enemy, okay? I'm not saying anything. These people, these angels, the fallen, are not declaring themselves. Dare I mention any names? I'm not going to, but generally, Satan, his hotspot, his ticket is music. And man, it's powerful. It is so powerful. So I'm going to finish this out here. They said that he was the great power of God in verse 11 of Acts 8. And to him they regard, because that of long time he had bewitched them with sorceries. With what? With sorceries. He had bewitched the people. He had, if you're not affiliated with Christ and under that protection, and you're not affiliated or clinging to the dark side, committing to it, then you're in the middle. You're in the middle. You're not protected by this side, and this side is going to abuse you and take from you. Okay, you should get protection and take it seriously. I don't feel like that the powers that be in the church. Church is not a building. The church is not a denomination. The church is me and you. It is Christians, okay? You call us the Church of Philadelphia if you want. It don't matter to me yet. We don't have walls. But what we do have is the armor of God, and we do have a defined enemy. They're no longer hiding in shadows, chanting and saying these things, and with their black kettles, doing blood magic, spilling the blood of innocents, of virgins, of children. Do you hear me? This stuff is real. This is not hocus pocus on television, and we have got to begin to formulate some type of a defense against it. And the way that that's going to happen first is by the acknowledgement that it's going on. It's like it's something that you're not supposed to talk about. Well, I'm talking about it. I have to. It's my duty. What else can we go here? Okay. Satan in Matthew, immediately when he was brought up from the water, baptized, publicly known by Yahweh, YHVH, I am that I am, owned Jesus Christ and said, this is my son, I love him, listen to him, do the things he's telling you to do, and no longer will you be dead. He's going to give life and opportunity for life more abundantly when you shed the skin. So the moment God owned him publicly, Jesus was driven into the wilderness by the Spirit and was ministered to by angels. Sometimes, maybe he was out in the woods in the wilderness. Maybe he went from town to town, appearing as someone else. Who knows where he was at and what was going on. He was obviously in the city because Satan, Lucifer, took him to the top of the pinnacle of the temple. Where did Satan go? He went to church, man. That's okay. So he takes Christ to the pinnacle of this temple in Jerusalem and says, I will give, if you'll bow down to me, I'll give you all of this. You're not going to have to go through all of the things that you're about to have to go through if you just bend the knee to me right here. This can all be over. There will be no cat of nine tails, no whips, no crown of thorns. The people will happy, glad hands you everywhere you go. There's not going to be any downside to it. Well, Satan's a liar. None of that was his to give. He owns nothing. He is a dead man walking. If he's giving you something, you're renting it. And you'll never own it. You hear me? This flesh is a means to an end. We do have a defined enemy. I am not being mean here, but I am serious. I've got to put this out there. I've seen too much, and I know too much to not put this out there. Be careful what you tattoo on yourself, what you have tattooed on yourself. That is between you and God. My advice is, if you don't have any, don't get any. Don't get any tattoos. It is a form of blood magic. You're drawing blood, your DNA. And what did God say whenever Cain killed Abel? His what cried to him? His blood. That's why they use that. There is also power in sex. When there's a climax that happens, it's much like the death throes that a human body will go through as it is as it lay dying. Okay, so hard. If someone is rises to orgasm, what happens is that it opens dimensions. Seed is spilled, and it is much like blood magic as well. Magicians use this thing. That's why you'll hear them say sexual magic and this and that, is because when that happens, we open portals and tear holes in dimensions, and things can come through and attach themselves to you. This familiar spirit here that Samuel was going to see, that the witch of Endor had, find me a woman with a familiar spirit. He's saying, find me a soothsayer. He was going to have a seance and bring Samuel back. Okay, because he didn't know how this battle was going to play out. The kings of Israel at that time were supposed to be prophets, and God spoke to them in dreams. He spoke to them in many different ways. Well, God had quit speaking to Saul. Why? Because Saul had went against God and disobeyed him, and so God could not use him anymore. He would not put himself in uncomfortable positions, the uncomfortable position that God expected him to put himself in as a means to fulfill prophecy. So he was no longer of use to God. Therefore, God had already anointed David, so he just started talking to David. That's why Saul could never pin David down, because God had him, and David had the armor of God on, and evil cannot penetrate that. So, as long as you all know this thing, I'm not gonna beat it in the ground. I will mention it periodically because it is a very important thing, and right now Christians are being abused because of it, because they're ignorant to this thing that is happening. So when you say your prayers at night, be sure you say them in a way that is. Be sure that you mention that. Be sure you mention ask for forgiveness. clean your slate a bit so that God can protect you. When we do certain things, we curse ourselves, and if we aren't forgiven for them, hey, God can't protect you as well. He won't protect you as well. As much. You won't get as much from Him if you don't give a little something. He wants that humility. He wants you to bend the knee to Him. And when that happens, man, you're not renting anything from Him. He loves you, and He's going to bless you. He's going to fight battles for you that you don't even know are going on. Or I suppose you can just do it yourself and see how that works out for you. But make no mistake, you have a defined enemy. They announce themselves now publicly in stadiums with hundreds of thousands, with a whole army applauding them and completely under their spells. So I hope this is informative, and I hope that y'all don't take this the wrong way. I am not giving props to these things. I am making you aware. Therefore, if things are going on in your life that you cannot seem to overcome, they just keep pinning you down, hey, pray for God's to step in and pull them off of you. If you're doing good things for God, you have their attention. You're a light. They see you. They will come for you. All right. I don't care if this sounds crazy. I promise you. I promise you this on this. The things that are happening right now in this world, the fear, the confusion, this is all coming from spells and from a very powerful, from the rulers of darkness in high places. We just documented it. It's happening. It's real. Make no mistake of it. I love you all. Pray for me. I assure you that I have many praying for me, and some may not be so savory. Some of the types who are praying against me, against you, against God, are I don't even know what to say about that. I just, as long as you know. So there you go. Till next time.